Hello, everybody. It is me, Martinez-Bateman. I am the CEO of New Coyote Consulting. We are an equity and communications consulting firm here in the Pacific Northwest. We do things like talk about communication strategies for liberation-focused organizations, coaches, and companies. It's the Monday update. Every Monday, I tell you my intention for the week. Every Thursday, I come back and I tell you how I did on that intention. I had a pretty great week last week because I didn't set any intentions. I also had a lot of big thoughts and feelings and amazing conversations. And one of the things that I really took away from the multiple conversations I've been having, just with different amazing people who are on a similar path to me towards sort of personal liberation and new ways of working and being an anti-capitalist in a capitalist society and all of this stuff, right, that we're all talking about right now. I was talking about shadow work, and I was realizing that the way I was taught to do shadow work was that I made a list of all of the characteristics of my child self that I could think of. And then after I made that whole comprehensive list, it took a couple of days of just going back and back and back. I went in and I assigned which of my parents and the sort of cultural centers like schools and religious organizations and after school clubs and whatever, which of my parents and sort of self-shaping authoritarian figures in my childhood disapproved or approved of those character traits and sort of why and how. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about where my critical voice comes from when I did that. And I was talking about it and I had two realizations. One, that doesn't stop. That just because my child self was formed around this set of, honestly for me, wildly fluctuating values, I also went on, my self is still forming. I'm still learning new things. I'm still expressing myself in new ways. There are still stages of this existence that I haven't reached yet and I won't reach. And that only changes when I die. There's going to be no point where I'm I've made it, I'm done here. And I know that, right, intellectually, but my body wasn't feeling it, wasn't feeling this constant state of growth and flux. And I was telling my friend, my value is in flux, meaning that the value of me on an open market is changing. And he was like, right, your value is in flux. The flux itself is the value. The fact that you're working on this and you're articulating it as you're working on it is the fucking value. And I was like, oh, it was a real money's in the banana stand kind of moment. That's another conversation I had with another person. I've been talking about this for a while now. I keep talking about this stuff. And I also just randomly was afforded the opportunity to read some of my earlier writings, from 10 years ago. They're still on the internet. And I realized a lot of, I don't know, I just sort of something is coming together. Things are starting to connect for me. And I think the last big sort of aha moment, the last big sort of breaking my head open moment that I had, that was probably back in 2017, 2018. And it took 2018, 2019 to fully realize that thing that I needed. It was a reevaluation of my boundaries and my purpose and how I'm living my values. And it was a realization of the ways my sort of childhood assumptions were showing up in my adult life. And it's now 2022. I was feeling like I was taking a really long time to integrate that realization and the changes I made in my life with how I identify today. And I think, I think that one of the reasons I'm having a hard time integrating those realizations, those big sort of anti-capitalist, turning away from black and white thinking, even farther than I've turned previously when I've had this realization, there's a part of me that feels like after I had that large realization that broke a bunch of stuff open, that my life should come together in the same way, that the puzzle pieces need to reassemble in the same way. And that's not, when you have a big change, a big realization about who you are and where you're headed and what you're for, they're not going to come back together in the same way. And I was looking for that. And I also think that, like, one of the things I've been wrestling with over and over is Buddhists call it the novice mind, the novice mindset. When you come to something saying, I don't know everything, I'm here to learn, I am new at this because I am new every day, that kind of stuff. You take away a lot of the authoritarianism in being. And I've always found a lot of value in that novice mind. And I've always had a problem with the fact that my novice mind is not valued. I value it, but it is not valued in the world, that approach. And having to sort of perform expertise when I don't want to, when I want to be in the novice mind and have the vast benefits of learning and empathy and growth, emotional growth that comes with that novice mind and how helpful it is. And that's what the whole thing is with my value is in flux. It's the flux that's the value. It's not the place I get to. It's not the conclusion I come to. Lots of people come to conclusions all the time, and many of them are great. Some of them are stupid. Some of them seem stupid and are actually great. Vice versa. Some seem great and are stupid. But what I'm saying here is that flux, I'm really leaning into that being, that non-binary place. I'm leaning into the non-binary place. And I really like it here. I really like it here. And I really feel that was kind of a piece. I feel much more complete in myself knowing that the movement of my expression, the movement of my emotion, the movement of my mind through time and understanding, that makes me feel whole. I feel whole in the movement of my body and mind through space and time and through expression and through feelings and through understandings. That's not an intention. That's just where I am right now. So I will see you on Thursday. Don't forget to have a lunch. Nobody's going to come and feed you lunch. I'm sorry. I wish I could, but I got to feed myself lunch. See you on Thursday.